Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over some more beginner rider tips. If you're new to motorcycling, these are some basic habits you should get into early for safety, confidence, and overall riding experience. It'll improve it across the board. So these are some beginner tips that every rider should get into early on. One of the most important skills you can develop early as a rider is braking control. We don't want to be riding along just grabbing handfuls of brake. Makes the bike very unstable, very likely to lock up the front wheel and just drop the bike. If that front wheel locks, the whole thing's going down. Practicing in a safe place, gradually applying brake pressure, where you can get a little bit of speed going, maybe 20, 30 Ks. Start slow and maybe build your speed up as you go along, but somewhere quiet and safe where you can practice gradually applying that brake pressure. So my next point then is hill starts. They're quite straightforward. Hill starts stress out a lot of new riders. They worry about rolling back, dropping the bike. It's an easy mistake to make, but we can simplify it a lot by just using the rear brake. The way it's going to work is you're driving up along, meet some traffic on a hill, you come to a gentle stop with your front brake, pop your right foot up onto the brake lever like this, and then release the front brake. It frees up your right hand for the throttle. And then it's simply a case of when the traffic starts to move off, you find a gentle bite with your clutch. And as you find that little bite, that's when you release the foot brake. The little bite is going to hold you in place, apply some throttle, and gently ease off the clutch to move away up the hill without any rollbacks or drops. Simple as. So on the topic of rollbacks, and I actually seen this happen there in a little town near me in the last week. There was a biker, he was trying to reverse his bike back into a little parking space that was on a little slope. And as he turned off the bike and went to get off, the whole thing went from under him and it dropped. And he hopped off and he kind of just about caught it. But it's, again, a really embarrassing moment that you obviously want to avoid, and any damage to your bike. There are babies, we don't want anything to happen to them. Parking on a slope. Deal with this situation. Obviously, yes, you're going to be coming up along to the place you want to stop. So let's say it's here, I want to park. I'd come in, I'd swing out to point the tail of the bike at it. And then, usually to be honest, in first gear, I just hold my clutch. I'd back it into the corner doing the little reverse waddle we all have to do. And once it's in position, I'd kill the bike while I have the clutch held in gear. And then throw down the kickstand, release your clutch, and then just lean her over. Because it's still in gear, it works like a handbrake. It's not going to roll back. You can safely get off the bike without it rolling away on you down the hill. Small thing, seems simple, but often forgotten. So yeah, that is the easiest way to deal with parking on a slight slope. Okay, so my next point is to set the bike up for yourself. So adjusting your clutch and brake levers to suit your needs, your position on the bike. They leave the factory with kind of like a one-size-fits-all setting, just fine for the vast majority. But there's no harm in fine-tuning the bike just for you. Particularly if you're on the shorter side or on the taller side, you'll have to adjust things to suit. So, to do that, you'd sit up onto the bike in your normal riding position. You don't want to have your hands kind of up like this reaching for levers or really far down trying to find them. You want nice straight lines so that you're not getting a lot of fatigue from trying to constantly adjust your arm to suit where the levers are. There's usually a couple of little bolts where they attach to the handlebars, and you can adjust those and it'll free them up to move up and down. Then when you're in your riding position, just set them. So find that ideal position for you where it's a nice straight line with your forearm, and then tighten them up and you're all set. It'll feel more comfortable on every ride and far less fatigue on those longer rides. So I guess the next thing I want to talk to you about is motorcycle maintenance. I've met a lot of new riders who come from, they're driving cars for years, which have pretty lengthy maintenance intervals. You don't have to do a whole lot day to day. But I mean, weekly, you should be checking your bike out, just making sure it's maintained. You look after your machine, it's going to look after you. So we'll go through a few of the points here. Firstly, oil and coolant levels. So we always want to check down our little sight glasses that the level is correct. Again, manufacturer to manufacturer, it'll change. So check your specifications and check where it's supposed to be on that sight glass. Coolant levels, checking your coolant levels just to make sure they haven't dropped down too low. You want to keep them in that sweet spot. Again, refer to manufacturer specifications for whether to be full, halfway, whatever. The next thing, chain slack and sprocket wear. So just testing your chain slack down here, and also just monitoring the teeth on your sprockets and how they're wearing. If your chain is too tight, it's going to put unnecessary wear on your sprockets and drivetrain and your gearbox. So again, making sure you have the correct slack matching what the manufacturer recommends. You also want to keep an eye on your suspension components. So checking your forks up front for any leaks here from the oil seals, check the condition of the seals. that they're all in good nick, nothing caught in them that's causing seeping. Same thing with the rear shock. Got to be checking for leaks and condition, just making sure everything's in good nick. The next thing to have a look at is correct tire pressure and tire wear patterns. If you have a little kind of gauge like this guy here, just popping it on the tires regularly. Honestly, especially around this time of year where the temperature's changing so much, you know, as the temperature drops, the pressure in the tire is going to drop. Just monitor it. Keep an eye on it. Check your tire pressures and make sure they're topped up. You don't want it overinflated. You also don't want it underinflated. There is a sweet spot. Everyone kind of has their own preference after a bit of time. For now, just check the manufacturer's recommendations and go with that. Regularly checking your tire pressures. The next thing to keep an eye on, as we said, is wear patterns on the tire. It's no harm put a hand across the tire, feel that it's nice and round still. It's not starting to come up in a triangle or starting to square here. You want a nice round profile on the tire. And obviously checking that the thread's not down past the limit. So wheel bearings. Wheel bearings are also worth keeping an eye on. They're pretty robust. They shouldn't go very often. Something's very wrong if they're failing regularly, but it is worth keeping an eye on. So throw it up on a paddock stand like this, front and rear, and just check top and bottom. Give it a little shake, make sure it's nice and stable, there's no play. And again, just working around all parts of the tire, looking for that little bit of play. If you find any, replace your wheel bearings. It's not worth it. They're an accident waiting to happen once they start to fail. So yeah, a small check on those wheel bearings every now and again can save a small issue from turning into a very large problem. So my next point is riding a motorcycle in the rain. Something a lot of new riders are very, very cagey about it. The concern is when a new rider is out in the rain for the first time, they're afraid to lean the bike into the bend. They're afraid it'll just go from under them. But there's far more grip in modern tires than a new rider might expect, even in wet conditions. So don't be afraid to lean your motorcycle into the corner in wet conditions. Also, if you did want to avoid leaning the bike in, don't be afraid to move your body to the inside of the bike. You won't have to lean the bike as much if your body's coming off to the side on the inside of the corner a little bit. You can keep the bike a little more upright if you're leaning over to bring it around the bend. So in very, very wet conditions, that is what I'd advise. But again, the bike will lean a lot further than you'd expect in wet conditions before it's an issue. So stay relaxed, move naturally with the bike, and lean it into the bend. Now, this leads me into my next point nicely. Tires matter. First of all, it's condition. So it's, as I said, important that you're maintaining the tires, checking their wear pattern, looking for damage, making sure they're not too old, worn down, and that they're at their correct pressures. On top of that, though, it's important you're selecting the right tires for the conditions you're going to be riding in. I mean, if you live in sunny Spain, sure, go and buy some track-oriented tires. They're like slicks. Ride around for most of the year, you'll be fine. But in Ireland, in our conditions, you have to buy appropriate tires. So get a tire that's specifically designed for riding in the rain. There, I just fitted Michelin Road 6 GTs to this. I carry a pillion and some luggage, so I got the GTs so they could deal with the extra weight. They're a wet weather focused tire. Now, they've great grip in the dry as well. They're fantastic in wet weather, and like, you can't see outside right now, but it's pissing rain out there. And if I had to, I could take this bike out without too much concern. So get the tires that are appropriate to the conditions you're going to be riding in. Because you took a track-focused tire out into this weather today, you're going to be on your ass right fast. If you can buy tires that are suitable to the conditions you're going to be riding in, your confidence and abilities will skyrocket. Well worth investing in good rubber for your bike. Motorcycling is an incredible experience to have, but building these good habits early make a huge difference. So practice your braking, proper leaning techniques, maintain your bike, and select the correct tires for the conditions you'll be riding in. Do that, and you'll become a safer, more confident rider every time you go out on that bike. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I hope it was helpful. If there are any topics or subjects you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to get some inspiration for videos. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.